So we won't need, we got everything we need, we don't need.
I do have some things in there, but
Okay, wait.
you don't have to have them.
Well, I'm just saying, I got mine still. Mine won't come on.
I do have some copies if y'all need it. Agenda.
I got it.
Okay.
Y'all got me. Yeah, I didn't bring mine tonight. It's at my shop.
Nobody did. Yeah.
I might as well like mine is dead. That's it. All it is over here. This thing ain't got no business being dead.
I'll pull it up over here.
Being dead. I thought I had charged it. I left it over there. I must have left it on when I finished
I'll
charging.
pull it up over here. I got the actual print. I got it printed out too.
Yes, it is dead. That's why the juice is out of it.
That's with the packet.
Oh, okay. The juice is out of mine. I must have left it uncharged. Okay, we ready? Yep. Right. The meeting is now called to order. We have an invocation and the pledge.
Let's our Father and our God, we are so grateful that we're gathered here in a free nation, that we can have government of the people and by the people. We pray that you would guide our thoughts and our minds and the things that we deliberate, and that we might make the right decisions, and that it might be for the good of our city. Keep us from selfish ambitions, that all that we do might be for the benefit of all our citizens. Bless us now. May we do things decently and in order. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. Good evening to everyone. Just I assure you, that's not Santa and his reindeer on the rooftop. So you will hear some. They're finishing it up. They were working on the roofs. I didn't know that they were how far they were, but they're bringing closure. Let's just say that. Well, better for them having been there. At this time, we'd like to recognize all our visitors. We're so glad that you chose to join us. We know that it takes a lot to fit in the city into your busy schedule, but it's always well received and well appreciated. At this time, we have the comments, and we have one comment from Natrina Hicks.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor, and Council. I stand today, and my name is Natrina Hicks, and I stand today to address the issue again about the forensic audit on the Crockett Economic Development. And in that reference, to say that I want to know if the city are you all telling others that the investigation is complete, and some people know and some people don't. It's instated by one of the shutdown crew, which I was advised to just kind of not say her name, but SW is the initials, that investigation was complete. I would like to know if that's the case. I will be submitting a Freedom of Information request on tomorrow for that, being that no one has said anything since January. We hadn't heard anything. In my manual, it tells us that the council, along with the board of economic development, should meet at least once a year to see if we were on the same page. Since I've been on the board, we've met none. So how can we be on the same page when we never met? Then also, we have another constituent, one of your council members, that states that y'all closed y'all shut down or that y'all suspended the board because of the fact that of findings. Well, you gotta remember that the major findings were back before Mr. Gentry even became the executive director. So there's nothing you could correct back then. Those people are deceased. So only thing that you can do is move forward. Now, one thing of it is that you said freeze. You froze the opportunity for our youth, for our kids over at the Crockett High School to have an opportunity to learn how to or be trained or skilled in heavy equipment. Those was some of the things that we were working on with the school. Nursing skills. We were working on those things, but y'all froze that. Okay, so I'm just really upset right about now because one thing I do know is we as a board have integrity. As I notice that we are making up, no, let me rephrase that. You all, at least two of you, are making up rules as we go. At least two of you. So what I want to know is if your integrity stands for you, if your integrity stands for you, you do what's right. By the law, by the state law, period, point blank. I don't understand why it is that you all are making rules up as you go. I'm not understanding that. But one thing it is, you did not help our kids at all. That class was going to help those kids not travel to Lufkin to take those classes. It was going to help our kids here in Crockett.
Thank you. Too late. You were supposed to hand it in when you came in before the meeting started. Yeah, just the next one. Yeah.
She knows. Council.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to see that.
Ms. Ainstein, can you give us an update on the investigation? Where we're at with it? What's the status?
I'm not allowed to.
Okay. So is it still ongoing?
I'm not allowed to comment on that.
Okay.
I'm not even performing the investigation.
No, I didn't say you were. I just asked you anybody having an update. That's all. Okay.
Did you have? What was it?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
That's all.
At this time, does any other council have a comment? No, sir? Okay. If not, we'll move on to the next level, next area. Number one, regular session, approval of minutes, item number 1.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. All in favor? Motion carries. Item number 2, reports of Police Department Manpower and Criminal Incident Report for February 2023.
The police chief did call earlier and requested that if council could review the report, or if there were any questions and they wanted to move it to the next meeting, that was okay also, but he wasn't able to be here. But if you want to receive the report, then we could address it now.
It's in the packet.
It's in your package.
Could I get someone to close the chamber door, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the report.
I second the motion.
It's been moved in second. All in favor? Motion carries. Item number 3, presentation and discussion, acceptance of fiscal year 2022 financial audit.
Mayor and council, I have Ms. Molly Abley here with Axley and Rhodey to present our financial audit report.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Hope everyone is doing well today. I have a draft of your audit report for you today. This is not unusual, so don't think I know normally I bring finals, but I would say we're at about 99% done, and I'm waiting on one little piece of information. It's an outside confirmation from the city attorney, and he's been out with back surgery. So all the numbers are pretty good. They've all been reviewed. We're good to go with that. I just have to have that confirmation in from him before I can officially sign off on the final report. But I will start on page 3 of the stapled there report. this is where the audit opinion is. There's a new item this year. This was the implementation of a statement on auditing standards 134 in the current year. It made significant changes to this report. I know y'all have been on the council for a few years, so you've seen this letter quite a few times. But really what it did was it made changes to the content and the layout of this audit report. It was to assist with visibility and transparency. The management responsibility sections were expanded. They have to state an evaluation of going concerns. This is a significant change for this audit opinion letter. In addition to that, the auditor's responsibility section is expanded. This was identified an area where there was a gap between the auditor's responsibility and per the auditor standards and what users who may read this audit report expected our responsibilities to be. So expanded descriptions include exercising professional judgment, identifying and assessing risk of material misstatement, obtaining and understanding internal control in order to design our procedures of the audit. We also evaluate appropriateness of accounting policies, and we conclude whether in our judgment there's any areas of going concern. Now these items have always been present in your audit. They are just new in this report for the current year. They wanted to bring that transparency and try to make it a little more clear for readers of these financial statements. The other significant thing that it did is move the opinion to the very top of this letter. So it's listed first and foremost. This year we have what's called a qualified opinion. It is the second highest opinion we can give. It states that everything that is here is presented fairly in all material respects, except for the items that are excluded. Since there is an ongoing investigation with the Economic and Industrial Development Corporation, we were not able to obtain those financials. Accounting principles require that to be in your audit as a component unit. And since we weren't able to get that, we have to exclude that from our audit opinion. So basically states that everything here is good, except for that because we don't know and we haven't looked at it, is all it is. If you flip over to page 9, I'll kind of hit a few highlights for the year. In addition to changes in that opinion letter, we also implemented a new GASB standard. It was called GASB 87. It had to do with leases in the current year. So we had to come in and analyze any leases that you pay out monthly, and we also had to review any items that you receive payment for monthly as a lease receivable. You already had a lot of your lease payables on your financials. We did not have to pick up any new lease payables in the current year. We even had to go down to as small as looking at your postage machine because that's considered an asset that you have the right to use and you make a monthly payment on it. But thankfully that one was small enough. We did not have to pick that up, which is not always the case. But what we did have to pick up is the current year you had some lease receivables that we were required to record. We record a lease receivable. It's kind of the third or fourth line down on that page. But we also record a deferred inflow for those leases, and it's about 3/4 of the way down. And if you see, those numbers are exactly the same. So there was no effect on this financials. It just grossed both of those numbers up. We expect to receive just over $96,000 over the next couple of years, and we defer that revenue until you receive it. So that's just a new standard for this year. You had about 3 leases that we picked up in that number. The South Pines Animal Hospital, Pineywood Sanitation Building lease, and the Verizon land lease. So there's several new statements each year as we kind of go along, so kind of be prepared for that. Next year we kind of have to analyze subscriptions, but it's just something that they keep changing from year to year. The overall net position for the entire city is just over $11 million. It's at the bottom of that page. It's of the third column. This is just under a 4% increase from the prior year. A majority of those increases came from the increase in capital assets in the current year. As you're well aware, I know you know all the projects that are going on. You had the industrial park project, splash pad, water line rehab, water storage tank, etc. If you flip a page over to kind of 10 and 11 here, your overall expenditures for the entire city is just over $9.9 million compared to $9.7 million in the prior year, so just a slight increase. Your overall revenues increased just over $617,000 for the year. A majority of that was in operating grants. Increase in your revenues of over $600,000, and we only had an increase in expenses of about $200,000. So that gave you the increase of your net position of just over that $413,000 for the year. If you flip over to page 12, the first column there is your general fund, which is the operating fund of the city. The overall fund balance in the general fund is just over 2.17 million compared to just over 2.18 in the prior year, so very comparable year. If you compare your fund balance number in that column to the very first line, which is your cash, the full amount of your fund balance is in cash. It means you're highly liquidable. The cash is there when you need it. You have a healthy fund balance. It's approximately 37% of your annual expenditures in that fund. The following column there, the second one, is your grant fund. You had a slight decrease in this fund due to using the grants funds that you received in prior years as well. Flipping over a page to page 13, shows the activities of the general fund and the grant fund. There was a slight increase in both revenues and expenses. You had a slight increase in your sales tax for the year, and of course your grants increased as expected. There was a slight increase in your expenses attributed to increase in the projects in the current year. Overall, for the general fund, you had a slight decrease in fund balance of just over that $12,000 in the general fund. The notes in the following pages are not new, thankfully. We did have to expand some notes for the lease receivables and things, but nothing out of the ordinary. Once I get that confirmation in, there may be a note that, bless you, that may need to be expanded upon, but it will not make a significant change to your financials or your numbers for the year. Starting on page 39 is the single audit. Anytime you expend over $750,000 of federal revenue, we have to come in and pick one of those grants or one of those programs and do a little more detailed look into that particular grant or program. We have no compliance issues to report. Those programs seem to be working as intended. We did look at the EDA disaster grant, which was one of the largest ones that you had this year, but nothing unusual was noted there. There's also a loose letter that was distributed for your review. This is our standard communication letter that you see from year to year. If we had any issues, problems, or concerns, we have to report that to you as the governing board. We had no issues or problems other than anything noted to report to you. Our audit adjustments are also attached to that letter. Most of the items are cleanup of old accounts that are in the general ledger. And as a matter of fact, we actually made less than a 1% change to your financials. So that's pretty good. I'm going to work with them this year with switching over to the new system to kind of get rid of some of those old accounts that don't really belong there and cleaning that up. So it looks long and lengthy, but when it comes down to netting them all together, it's a very minimal change. So what you're seeing from month to month are very good numbers to review. And that's kind of the short and sweet of it, but if you have any questions,
Okay, just for restating, I know she was saying she didn't see it up there, but this was only for discussion only. It's not the final audit. It hasn't been gone through legal. And so right now, do we need to adopt
I request acceptance of the audit.
Mayor, Council, I motion that we accept the audit as is.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to item number 4. Consider and approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Crockett, Houston County, Texas, appointing the election officials for the May 6, 2023 general election, setting the rate of pay for the election officials, the maximum number of election clerks for the political place, and designation of the early voting ballot board. That one's on the board. I'm sorry, I'll try to speak up a little louder. It's item number 6 on your, I just read it. I'm sorry, went to 6, 4. I did read 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions, council?
Who are the clerks?
Sir?
Who are the clerks?
In the resolution, it has the 5 precincts with the election judges. The next would be the designation of the early voting clerks.
Page 7. Item 7.
Does everybody have the resolution?
It's at 7. It should be- It's like on page 7 in there.
Yes.
It's in that other packet.
Got one more printed out. This is in y'all's packet. I'll pull it up. Those are your 5 precincts there. And the next page is the section 2 and 3 has the rate of pay.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved in second, all in favor? Darryl, did you want to vote?
I'm still looking at this here, right here?
No, sir, that's the next.
Okay.
Oh, you voted? Okay, I'm sorry.
All in
Did you
favor?
get it? All in favor? They didn't see your hand. Okay. Motion carries. Okay, number 5, consider and approve designation of deputy early voting clerk.
Were you not able to find someone other than yourself to serve as early voting clerk?
I'm sure we could. It just takes a special training that we've done before. Usually myself and Selena are the backups to Mitzi as the early voting clerks. Mitzi's obviously the primary, and then we are backup.
I think it ought to be another person other than you in here. Nothing against you, but then, was she a clerk at one time? Ms. Warfield? Was she
Not a
clerk?
deputy, not a deputy clerk. We usually use staff that can fill in to where we don't have to pay for additional staff. But that's up to council's, that's up to the council's decision.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
It's been moved in second, all in favor? What?
I think we need to visit that again. I make a motion.
How much
that-
time do we have, Mitzi? Huh? What's that? Today's the last day to vote on this. So if you do want to designate clerks, now would be the time to, we can't revisit it.
Okay. I designate Linda Warfield.
Right.
The training?
She's been doing it for
Well,
years.
we've already.
We don't need two deputy early voting clerks. That's just as an assistance to the city secretary.
So you,
If there's any issue with me serving on there, then
would
just
you be
remove me.
comfortable with Selena?
Selena?
And just take John off?
Does law require that to be in compliance, we have to have two?
You have to have a,
We don't have to have two. It's recommended if for some reason something was to happen to one and they weren't able to serve in that capacity.
The reason why I said what I said, Ms. Warfield has been doing it for years, so that'd be a recommendation.
has she done early voting?
She,
Ms. Warfield cannot do it. She's already on the voting, the clerk ballot.
Okay.
She's already one of our clerks.
And
Yeah, we'll find somebody.
there's no one else that we can.
It's just people that have taken the training before. But like I say,
Training.
we can just keep Selena as the backup. Y'all good with that?
Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, John won't have to unless an extreme emergency. or anything like that. But anyway, so, it was a motion on the floor. Was it the discussion? The motion, we didn't finish. but there
If
was a
council
general
wants, if
discussion.
the councilman that made the motion wants to amend his motion, he can. If not, we'll have to follow the motion through it with a tiebreaker
Okay.
and then revote.
Okay. Would you like to, who made the
I want to
motion?
make a motion to
Mr.
keep it the way it exists.
We
It's
have
on the
a-
floor.
Okay, it was one.
It's been on the floor.
Yeah, it was one on the floor, and he was saying that okay, so we'll go ahead and vote it through, and, do we have a second? Okay, all in favor? Okay.
Okay, so
Two, oppose? Okay. If
so it fails.
fails, and can we get a second motion? Can we get a motion to present it with the exclusion of John Angerstein?
I make a motion to exclude John Engelstein.
Okay, it's been moved. Can we get a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor? Yeah. No. Oh, I don't have to vote. Oh, Mike voted, so I don't get, mine doesn't count. Okay, Mike,
It was 3, and then
One.
Mr. Caldwell opposed.
'cause I
The
don't-
second vote,
I didn't, okay,
he was in favor.
no.
So we have three in favor and 1 opposed.
Saved you some time.
It
So,
doesn't-
it's- Okay, so you got it straight, miss? Okay, thank you. So that brings us to the next item. Okay, item number 6. Consider and approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Crockett, Texas, selecting a grant writer administrator to assist the city with the submittal of an application for funding and administration of a contract, if awarded, from the Texas Department of Agriculture, TDA, for the Texas Community Block Grant Program, Downtown Revitalization Program Fund, CDBG DRP.
Mayor, is this to look for another grant writer? Is this what this is about?
No. No, sir. No, sir. We're, We procure, with each of our grant programs, we procure grant writers. We submit requests for proposals, and we procure one for each grant program that we are going out and seeking. This one that we're seeking now is the downtown revitalization. Same as the last 3 times that we received it, we had a grant administrator.
The reason why I asked that, of course, is because Mr. Cabell was hired for the grant writer.
Right, he's not a grant administrator or a grant writer.
Okay, that's when I received the documentation that you had put before us when we hired him. If I'm not mistaken, that was on there.
No, sir.
Okay.
He's not a grant writer.
Well, that's what he was hired for.
No, sir.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Okay, well,
And we paid him $60,000.
okay, well, what we're discussing right now is this item, and it's on the floor to discuss. But, now, is any more discussion on it?
Council, we have no grant administrator. This is the first time this has ever been brought up. We have no grant administrator or grant writer that's employed by the city. We do have a grant and project manager that helps us manage our internal grants, along with the grant writer that we employ for each of our grant programs. And that's been the case since I've been here.
I understand. The job description that was put out, it said grant writer, and that's what we hired him for. That's what we approved.
No, sir.
Yes, it was. I got the paper.
Okay.
Okay. But the magnitude of these grants,
I'm just saying, that's what we hired. We did that.
but,
So why would I have to go out and get somebody when we already have one in-house? That, it was, unless he don't move to another position, but that's what he was hired for.
Just for clarification, I'd like to understand Mr. Calvert's position as it relates to grants, because that was something that was mentioned. I don't remember the exact wording of it when we hired him, but I understood that he was hired to help us with grant writing.
To help us, yes, sir.
Okay.
He has assisted. I mean, this would probably be a better discussion to be put back on the agenda if we're going to discuss
Okay.
it. But he is hired to assist us with grants along with whoever we hire as an administrator or a writer. But that's a pretty niche
But
job that
he doesn't
requires.
qualify as administrator.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir, not at all.
And so what was your recommendation here as far as?
So, Mayor, Council, we issued a request for proposals with a deadline of March 10th for the grant administration services. This is a TDA program, and it's for downtown revitalization to be designated towards sidewalk repairs or infrastructure in the downtown area. And we did receive one sealed proposal from Gary Traylor and Associates.
Great.
Gary Traylor and
And where
Associates.
they from?
that's the one we.
Are they the same ones that done it last time, John?
Yes, sir. They've done it. Them and Grand Works have done it. Traylor and Associates was the last one to do it last year.
Yeah, they done a good job.
Grant Works didn't put in a proposal.
Not this
It
time.
was only one.
If that is saying, excuse me, if that a proposal we can get for the streets in the city of Crockett, these communities that hadn't been fixed? Because I hadn't seen anything on our agenda about these streets in our city.
Okay, well, right now, we're on.
I understand that,
Yeah,
but
well,
he talking
just
about a
on-
grant, and I just
No,
want
I
to know,
said-
can it be applied to,
Okay.
the streets in Crockett? That's all I'm asking.
It's just, the specific grant right here is on it for what it is. It's not, I mean, it just says what it is, and it's the one that we've used before, just for this particular item, what's on the agenda. So I guess the consideration, now, do you want to go ahead with what it was?
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution to enter into the contract.
Yeah, I second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and second, all in favor. Motion carries. Item number 7, discussing regarding outsourcing billing plan reviews, permits, and inspection.
Mayor and Council, over the past couple of years, with the amount of workload that we've taken on as a city in our property cleanup, of abandoned properties, of code enforcement, helping to try to beautify our city. We have assigned the majority of that workload to our code enforcement and building official, who has shared both titles as building official, which is covering all of our inspections, our permits, issuing permits, plan reviews, and then inspecting the contract work that is getting done within the city. In the last couple of years, we've become busier and busier for the sheer fact that we have a lot of people moving into town, building buildings, commercial buildings being developed and opened up, new construction, and I'm requesting some assistance to cover the inspection side of our code enforcement / building officials' job duties. This can be managed in-house within our budget by the permit fees and the inspection fees that we do receive. We receive fees for those services. I think by looking at that and coming up with a fair fee schedule that is can be compared to other cities of our size, in order to maintain compliance with code, we need outside assistance. Someone that is licensed in each one of these fields, each one of these professions. There are several different ways to do this. By outsourcing it, we can have a person that can come in for the inspections and the reviews once or twice a week, or it can be done virtually as well. There's several different options that I've been seeing that other cities use when coming to the inspections and plans and permitting. And so I'm asking for council's input. I do have a few items we can look at and kind of discuss and what that would look like if we were to bring someone in. And if council is agreeable to that, we could go out and look at some companies, talk about their fee schedules and how that would work with our city. And I could bring that back to you.
In order to do it proper, John, doesn't that individual have to be certified in each category, like plumbing, electrical, mechanical?
Yes, sir. We're requiring licensed plumbers, licensed master electricians to do this work in each of these fields. And we have we do have some share of grace from the state. They will allow us to do it, but it does increase our liability if a wrong judgment is made and something is approved or allowed to happen. It's not necessarily required, but it does increase our liabilities significantly by not having somebody that is also licensed in those fields, that's knowledgeable and can look at the work being done and sign off on it, as well as the plans that are being submitted, the new constructions that we've received in the past few years of, especially in the commercial side, from oil and gas to washaterias to Starbucks, certain items that we do not deal with on a daily basis. And we do need someone that works regularly and is familiar with that field, that can assist us. And it can be an agreement to where we bring them in on certain items. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing scenario.
I mean, if there's a way we can get someone trained and do it in-house, I think would be best, because that money will stay in town, versus going away, I mean.
The more you look at it, the sheer amount that's taking place in the city, I think it's more challenging to have a professional for each one of those, that the cost is going to be I mean, it would be wonderful if you could have it, but I think it brings a sense of fairness with all of the different buildings and making sure that the consistency is, I mean, that they're consistent and how they're looking at it. And, you know, when you have a person with multiple, I mean, like you said, we are having some leeway, but for consistency, if they're with the big buildings and all of the, it's just the laws change so much and the details and the requirements. I think for the smaller jobs, like you said, didn't have to be all or none, but for the reasonable or the smaller jobs that we're used to handling. But right now, we're looking at doing major things around here. And no matter how much you keep up, it's hard to perfect all of those areas so that you wouldn't come back. Because we're in a litigious society. If it messes up one, it's gonna come back hard, you know. But I think it is a level of fairness, because when you're working so closely with the people that you know on a daily basis, sometimes you don't see quite as much as you should see, not because you don't want to, but because sometimes it get lost in the shuffle. I think for some of our larger projects and stuff, we're just gonna have to have so that we don't drag people along unnecessarily, put a burden on them that they shouldn't have.
Well, here's my take on the matter. We hire a city administrator to do certain things on behalf of the city. If he brings this to our attention, then we need to consider it. And as far as having someone to review plans, permits, and inspections, if the need is there, and if we can not hire a person full-time, but if we can just have someone who's well qualified to do the work, to call in on an as-need basis and have our fees set to in such a way that we charge for it, and from that the funds that would be taken in, we can pay that individual for his services. But I do think that as we grow as a city, and to in my view and from my perspective, we are growing in some degree, and we're looking better as a city. And if that's the case, well then it makes sense to me to relieve some of the stress on the job of our city inspector. There are certain things that he can do, and there are certain things that he's not trained to do. And I understand that, I get that. And so if there's a need to outsource that particular aspect of what is normally done maybe by the previous city inspector, or is commonly done in other municipalities, I think it just makes sense. If that's our need, then we go ahead and actually give it consideration of having someone to come in and do it on an as-need basis and set our fees up for that in such a way that we can pay them.
Is this going to give him written time to go get the license? Because I agree we need to do this in-house. Is this going to give him the time to go get his license he needs to get this done? Because Bubba Erickson used to do it, and he did it all.
Yeah.
I beg to differ. Bubba Erickson didn't do much of anything. And when you, yeah, I understand what you're saying, Mike, but let's just be fair about it, because if he was actually doing it all as this our current city inspector, then he wouldn't have had time to stop and visit and hang out with some folks in town.
Okay, well,
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
I mean,
we'll just talk about the position and not the person.
if we do this outsourcing, I'd like for him to go ahead and get his license, so maybe he can do everything that we were paying Bubba to do. So he might not have been doing it all, but we were paying him to do it, and the job got done. But
Him as well as Ricky, they're doing it based on some of their knowledge in the field, but neither were licensed to do so in all of the professions. So some of it could be obtained, but like just for the plumber, I believe that's a 4-year, as journeyman, and to get your master electrician and your plumbing and things of that nature to become certified. It's asking quite a bit of one single individual. But there may be some portions of it that he could take on. I know the plumbing side is a little more rigorous in what they require for the inspector to have, whereas HVAC and a few of the other professions could be more of a certification and not a state license.
I just don't want somebody coming in that's been at a big city.
Right.
And try to bring their big city rules to a small city where people are just trying to make it.
Well, that was the
And I
control,
understand that.
the control measure would still be with who you chose to outsource. It wouldn't be a mandatory outsource. You would have an opportunity to decide who you want to outsource with. And like you said, comparatively, we would want to do someone that was used to doing cities our size. I mean, that's comfortable with that.
I know one of the companies that I spoke with was the company that does Madisonville's inspections and permits and reviews, and they have really high praise of this company.
Is it working out for them?
Works out well with them. They represent the city well, as well as submit monthly reports, and are responsive to the city and accountable if the city has questions or gets complaints. So like I say, it's definitely a move in another direction than we've been used to, but I know that we're approaching kind of a threshold or a ceiling that we can't maintain anymore. So I just want council to be aware of that, and if they're okay with me going out and seeking some agreements and how that would look like, and present some options, or and then I can follow up with each one of you one-on-one as well to where we're sure that we're going in the right direction. That's what council wants.
Well, it's kind of like this. If you understand, us as a council understand the workload that's currently with our city inspector and actually doing the work that is required of that position, it's a lot of work. And just like our city administrator, when he came to take the office, he looked at the structure of our city, and he brought in other people to help him to carry out the responsibilities and duties that's expected of him, but he just used other people and created other positions to help in his administration of our city. Now, with our city inspector, if the workload has gotten to the point, is at the point where we're not actually giving due diligence to inspections and planned review, it just makes sense. I heard what Councilman Marsh said, that if we outsource it, then we need to get him trained. Well, that's a good idea, but is it practical in the sense of for the long run and the workload that he has? And so that's my question, Is his workload different from that of Bubba Erickson when he was there, as to what he's doing?
The current workload is just due to the sheer number of permits that we're having to.
I'm in support of getting someone, not an employee on the payroll each time that the checks are cut, but someone who can come in and inspect. I'm not looking for someone to come in and shake up what we're doing here in the sense of being overbearing, unfair, nitpicking project, but according to state law, come in and look at what we're doing, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person. I'm in support of that.
Okay, so right now with the discussion on what was on their agenda was, we're having the discussion. So right now, do we feel that it's something that John, we don't have to vote on it?
If council wants to make a motion to go out and seek proposals.
Information.
Yes, I make a motion that we allow our administrator to seek out someone that can assist our city with some of the work as far as their plans, reviews. And he still do his regular stuff that he does, but when you're building Starbucks and you're building other buildings and doing other things that maybe out of his expertise, he needs to train the Mike. I agree with that. But for now, we need to get someone in there, and so I make that motion.
Second it.
That we allow him to look for someone.
Okay, so motion has been made and second, all in favor?
I'll return those to council when we're
Okay,
ready.
all right, thank you. Item number 8, presentation of Keep Texas Beautiful program and consider and approve a Keep Crockett Beautiful application.
Mayor and council, we, years ago, it's been right at 10 years, we used to be a Keep Crockett Beautiful city. We had membership with Keep Texas Beautiful, and we would file the monthly and annual reports, and we worked towards achieving a lot of the programs and initiatives under the Keep Texas Beautiful program, which is pretty multifaceted, but in short is to beautify our city. So litter abatement programs, community efforts that would go out amongst neighborhoods and try to get litter pickup programs together, gateway and entries to our city that can be beautified with a project or a sign or a painting or a mural, or many of those items would fall under this Keep Crockett Beautiful program if we were to adopt one and move in that direction. That program, I'd know with my at that time, my association with this person, it was a big chore to keep up with that, set the monthly meetings, set the projects, and execute, bring in volunteers, and try to organize this program. I've had Mr. Scott Shelley approach me a few times mentioning that the city that he's from, he's retired to Crockett. The city that he's from, he was pretty deeply involved with the Keep Texas Beautiful, and it was his city was Keep Baytown Beautiful, and so he served in that capacity and could bring quite a bit of knowledge. And he said that he was willing to offer a few years of support up front to get the application submitted and get the program up and running. To where we could, instead of being a fully city operated program, it would be more of a hybrid, by this being a non-profit program that would partner with the city, and the city could partner with it and support this program, but not have to do the entire laundry list of duties required. And so Mr. Shelley is here to answer questions if council has any, maybe if he has any points to make. We did quite a few initiatives from lawn of the month, property of the month awards that we did, and so quite a few different things to help the city. And so if there's anything that Mr. Shelley would like to present or council has any questions.
Okay, you ready?
I'd like to hear.
Good evening, Mayor Fisher, council members.
Good evening.
City administration, great guests that are here this evening. I have the privilege of being able to talk to you about a program that will help the city of Crockett gain notoriety, pride, as well as involve youth to an extent that you've never seen youth involved with before.
Sounds good.
This is a partnership between the city and the name is just out there as Keep Crockett Beautiful. And Keep Crockett Beautiful would be the administration over this with city assistance from the standpoint of this. Basically, it's a public-private situation. The reason why it's public and private is because the city needs to be able to be aware and to understand and provide every service that they can to be able to make anything that is done by this organization happen and happen well. And that's what I'm here to tell you. The city of Baytown has had a program for a long time. After retirement from council and so forth, I became involved with it because it was one of my favorite organizations. I became the president, and in the years that we were there, we received some great notoriety because we did a lot. We did a tremendous amount. Matter of fact, in 2017, we were named the #1 affiliate in our population area, and there, by winning that prestige, we won $270,000 that was given to our city by TxDOT for either a gateway or a phenomenal project of landscape and so forth, or some initiative around it. That monument is now being built. I will be going down to be able to dedicate that situation in the next couple of months. It was a great situation. Does it require time, organization, and planning? It does. Really does. The immediate needs for this organization is a board of directors. I ask and challenge council, if they would, to nominate one person from your precinct for this particular organization. Also, I ask that the mayor be involved with it also, as well as that would give us a total of 6 members that would be part of y'all's situation about being able to get involved on a precinct level. And then we would bring on 4 additional at-large memberships. And I must tell you that 2 of those will be a junior in high school and a senior in high school. Because let me just express to you this way. You know, not only was I teacher and administrator, but the youth on any committee, that if you ever get progressive enough to start looking at them toward helping you make decisions in Crockett, you will not be surprised. You will be overwhelmed almost and enthusiastic about their involvement and the opportunity to be on a prestigious board of directors like this. We have had that, and we did that the last 3 years I was there. We had one youth of the year with Texas, with the Keep Texas Beautiful program. They also received multiple $1,000s worth of scholarships just because of that. And the honor, you know, to ask a junior and a senior each year to be a part of your board of directors, it's phenomenal. It really is.
If you don't
outwork any adult on the committee. Yeah, so that's kind of like the idea of the selection of this situation. We can help you with ordinances and working with code enforcement and so forth to be able to make this city very beautiful, the aesthetics of it, as well as helping you bring about and creating funding for some of the things that you would like to do with your rural programs and so forth. I can assure you that those things. I've written grants for those situations, and I will tell you, I will write every grant that I can to be able to get equipment, to be able to get things that are needed for cleanups. You talk about cleanups. We would like to suggest within the first year and a half that we do a cleanup in every precinct. And then we do a citywide situation. We had a real unique situation with 3 high schools in one town in Baytown. And what we did is our program was called Talking Trash. In other words, we got the football head coaches
of every high school there, and we pitted all 3 high schools against each other, and it's called the Talkie Trash Competition. And it was big. It was big. Our last year, we had 326 students in each one of our 3 places where we had a citywide collection, and we were asked to present it, Keep Texas Beautiful, on what we did and how we gave opportunities to young people. And it's, folks, it's something, because those are going to be the people, hopefully, that come back and say, I want to keep on that committee, or I want to keep making Crockett beautiful. And there is some great situations with those, as I said. Students are the key. Matter of fact, if you energize students, you will see this community change from a standpoint of, you will see immensely how this community will change from a cleanliness and aesthetic standpoint. I can promise you that. I've been there, I've seen it. We are here to support these cleanups. We will be doing some fundraising. We will be initiating student scholarships in environmental awareness, and we will be working with and expanding with all organizations here in the Crockett area. We had a partnership with every civic organization in Baytown with this. Now, I keep saying about Baytown, but I'm just giving you experience, folks. It really is. And then we will help with expanding programs such as Adopt, highways, streets, programs that are very successful here. The National Honor Society is doing a tremendous job of that, even with no Keep Crockett Beautiful organization to be able to give them the accolades that they need. I'm sure that they already in the newspaper. I can say that we're probably within the first year to the second year, we'll be an award-winning program. But that's the board of directors thing. The rest of it is just trying to get the community energized behind the concept. So, again, my name is Scott Shealy. My phone number, if you would like to talk to me personally about this, which I would invite that because I did have a very good relationship with council even after leaving it, is 832-262-5131. I'm here to be able to, as I said, work from an organizational as well as any capacity I can for at least 3 years, and then join the organization just in a maybe not, and I'll say I'll be the leader of it because that's up to the board, but at the same time, I will commit to you every ounce of experience I have, as well as being able to tell you that you will see within, from this date, you will see forward that. But I need your, would you like to do it? Because I will be talking to the high school principal tomorrow about recommending students for the board of directors. And I would certainly really would like you to, if you decide to do something, come up with your nomination within the next council meeting.
Well, let me just say, what was that last name again now?
Shealy, sir.
Shealy?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to mispronounce it.
That's okay. Let me just tell you something. I've heard worse.
Well, I do welcome your expertise and experience in changing the face of our city. Crockett needs your leadership in that area. You take my precinct alone, Precinct 3. We definitely could use your expertise in my precinct. I'm one of 5 speaking. But if we're going to move forward as a city and really be attractive to businesses and companies and organizations to come and want to call Crockett home, well, then the work that I believe that you can do with the assistance of others in our community, I think it'd be well worth the effort. And so I'm all in, whatever that we can do to make things better for all of us.
Well, let me just say the last thing, and I'll tell you. In economic development, the number 3 thing that corporations, businesses, and so forth look at is what does the community look like? Infrastructure is a big thing. I know that you're working on that.
You said what?
What does it?
You said
Ma'am,
what's the first word?
what does the community look like?
Economic development.
Mhm. Yeah, economic development in general, not if you're not
Yeah,
an organization, but I'd be glad to talk to an organization because
In general.
oh yeah, because it's a hand-in-hand thing.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I'm here for. I'm not into anything else.
Yes,
It's
sir.
hand-in-hand because
Go
I've been
ahead.
in politics too long.
Yes, sir.
Okay, look, well,
But if you're willing to head this organization or this effort, then I would be in support of that. If you,
was it,
If the board of directors would like that, that's okay. But I will still serve, as I told the mayor as well as, John, I said, I will give you 3 hard years. And this will be something that when, if anyone walks away from it, it will carry on and carry on and carry on. That you should.
as was stated by council,
Unless, as long as it's not COVID, because COVID ruins so many.
yes, sir.
I just, as was stated by Councilman, 2 of the appeals of it is that, number 1, it brings our youth in, and, can't hear me again, okay. I've been sucking those soft cough drops, I guess they're not working. It appeals to me because it addresses the whole community,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's a must. And then the involvement of youth, that's a must, because we've all been around picking up, and we don't pick as well as we used to. But establishing it from that level, and also bringing in the precincts as a core part, because everybody's probably more capable of identifying the areas in their precinct if it's someone that lives there. So it has some components that really appeal to me, and I'm sure it appeals to the council and the city as a whole. Anything, but and the full responsibility will not lie with the council. It will be a shared responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I think those elements are things that have a lot of appeal. I know earlier when we looked at how our youth were involved, I think she's not Lockhart, but she did a little study and identified all of our youth involvement for one of her service projects. And it was a lot of youth that were willing to get involved, but because of COVID at the time, they had kind of died down. So I think it's just extremely important. If your city is going to grow, everybody needs to have the responsibility and the opportunity to participate in. And this appears to be something that everybody can have a part of. And right at this point, I don't know if any comments from the council.
I think it's a good thing. I like it. I'll support it.
The only other thing that we would talk about, once, there is an initiation fee of $200, and that's just to keep Texas beautiful. That's a yearly situation. We'll work on a budget, but at the same time, we are, and I would say it's a necessity, we are seeking office space, because there is no way to operate it out of your homes. You all well know, it's probably, if you have, it just gives you a legitimacy, and so forth. So if you know of any, we're looking for donated office space, that's for sure. But at the same time, it also gives a prestige to whatever business company or a business or a building, it gives that.
Okay.
Anything else?
Council,
Thank you very much for your confidence.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
do we approve? I mean, do we have to vote on it?
Yes,
Okay.
for us to proceed forward with the application, and we can come back as another agenda item for nomination
Yeah.
of members to the board.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Shelley. Item number 9. Consider and approve agreement with Retail Strategies LLC for downtown strategies, workshop, market analysis, and downtown strategic plan.
Mayor and council, we talked about this a month ago, and, well, actually 2 months ago, and I did go out and spoke with some consultant firms requesting some other input or agreements to provide the services for our downtown strategic plan and the assistance to apply for our Main Street City application. We've done a lot of the work as far as putting some of the data together and the application, filling that out. The application is over 100 pages, and we've gone through and filled out a lot of it. There are some other things that need to be checkboxed off, though. There's some public hearings that are required and a strategic plan that's required. What do we want as a city? Where are we at, and where are our areas of opportunity, as well as our weaknesses that we need to address, and addressing everything from needs for sidewalks and connectability to our downtown area, parking, the vacancies in our buildings, as well as what they could be used for, what our building, the opportunities for each building are. And I really feel like if we're going to proceed forward with the Main Street city application, that we would we need to bring a consultant in that's qualified to help lead that discussion. What does our city look like? What does it need to look like? And use the public, bring the public in as well as council on those decisions. That council would ultimately approve this plan, but they would help hold workshops and give us best practices of what other cities are doing, as well as what we could see out of this. This is something that council did approve funding for, but I was wanting to see if there was any other companies that could provide this service, but most of them are pushing more towards a master plan scenario, which is a lot lengthier and more costlier.
Did we approve that through the ARPA fund?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
I make a motion to approve the agreement.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor? Motion carries. That brings us to item 10, our executive session. And we'll take a break, and we'll come back, and you all will have the opportunity of fellowshipping in the hallway.